Hi guys, and welcome back. It's your girl Yummy.com. Thank you for joining me, my internet friends. I have a new shirt. It says unpaid movie critic, which is what I am, an unpaid movie critic, especially when I do these videos. You know what time it is. It's another Tipsy movie review. So today we are going to be talking about the Amazon Prime newly released piece called Them. It is obviously inspired by Jordan Peele's work Us, and also gives me a little bit of a Lovecraft Country vibe.
Come on, y'all. We're gonna take everything that devil stole. Now, everything. We're taking everything.
There's not much for me to say other than singing high praises to this thing because it is insane. When I was a little girl, I used to be scared of scary movies. I think the first one I saw was Ghost Ship, then Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I even got thrown in a closet by my cousin once. Ty, I'm talking to you, for crying too much. But soon after that, I just didn't get scared anymore. And like once I got into like high school, middle school, I was just like, yeah, scary movies are pretty cool. They're pretty chill. I like the blood and gore. Obviously being the child of a pastor, a little bit creeped out by the spirit ones, but for the most part, I'm fine. I'm fine during scary movies. I know it's not reality. And most of the time it is, it's dumb white people stuff. Like it's people doing dumb white people stuff, making dumb white people decisions.
Like an inner ear infection or something? Run in a straight line. I'm walking here trying to make it easy for you. Oh, what the hell?
But Jordan Peele came along, and not to say he's the first one to do this, obviously, but he was a big player in Black people in horror. He made Get Out, which was one of the first movies to genuinely terrify me for a completely different reason, for the reality of it all. Like, I was never scared that a ghost was gonna come poltergeist me. I pray to God every day, baby. So, got that cleared. I was never scared that I was gonna get lost in a haunted house and then catch a venereal disease and die, because I would never be in a haunted house. I'm Black. I'm smarter than that. I would never. I wasn't scared that I would be on a trip with my friends and we'd get our car broken down and then all of a sudden a massacre would happen with a man with a strange chainsaw because we knocked on his door, because I don't trust any of my friends enough to get in their car. Not because I don't trust them, but because I'm smarter than that. And we mostly live in New York. We'll take the subway or an Uber. Okay? I don't see any killer Ubers coming out. I mean, there are definitely some killer Uber drivers, but I don't see any killer Ubers movies coming out. So I was never really scared of those situations. However, when Get Out came out, it hit me to my core. The fear that someone would use my Blackness as a weapon against me to make me a slave, but not a physical slave, a mental slave in my own mind, where my body was not even mine, that became my biggest fear. That hit me in a spot that I didn't even know it could hit me in. With that being said, obviously Us came out. Us was this beautiful piece. It was Us for me was a little less scary and a little bit more jump scary. I think it also has a lot to do with the fact that whenever Winston Duke is on the screen, I just get very like hazy eyed. I'm just like, man, he is beautiful. It is very distracting and it's hard to feel scared when you're that turned on. Just gonna say it.
You are a cinema, a Hollywood treasure. Love you just the way you are. My cinema, my cinema.
We can get crazy.
I went into them fully expecting it to be a reversed engineered version of Us, completely expecting to know what the story and the narrative was, and I was wrong, and I've never been so happy I was wrong. Not to say that a different version of Us wouldn't be cool, but I didn't think a different version of Us could have been done without Jordan Peele, and he wasn't attached to this project. Lena was. She's an amazing director, obviously, but it wasn't her original vision. So I was scared that it was going to feel like mimicry almost. However, it's kind of this completely different storytelling method. But like, let's really get into it. Like, first thing, I can tell you all the things I loved and none of the things I hated. I didn't hate a single thing about it. I freaking love this so much. I mean, I would really like a lot more gore, a lot more guts, but other than that, I loved it from top to bottom. Basically, the things that I loved. A, the cinematography was amazing. The shots were so clean and crisp. The jumping from, even when they jumped from time periods, it was still beautiful and well lit and well shot, and every part of it was well defined. You can see the color difference between East Compton and West Compton. You can see the differences in the houses, and I love when the house itself tells a story. It is one of my favorite things. So obviously I super loved it, but then also the editing choices were amazing. That one specific shot of, oh my god, I creamed. It was so beautiful when he lays his head down because he's worried about the cop, and he closes the door and she's just staring straight on with a tear coming down her eye, and they split the screen. I love it. I love it. I usually hate split screens unless it's like for like athletics or something. I don't know. Unless you have to split the screen. I usually don't really like it, but the way they kept splitting the screen in this was so artful and beautiful, and I super was in love with the way that they were doing it. That's for the cinematography, obviously. So the color grading was great. The shots and the editing was great. I just loved the differences that they took.
What do you call this?
A start.
Cross too flamboyant?
Sure, I don't know what you mean.
My children had to see this.
Whose fault is that? This place is our home. I think it's important a person knows her place. If it were me, I can't imagine living somewhere I wasn't wanted.
On top of that, the writing was amazing. The writing was so good. Like, obviously there are time periods where it seemed okay, it was really good. It was really good. It was amazing. But there were like little time periods where it's just like it felt like they were going on for like too long, but those periods always had a big payoff at the end. Specifically the tap dance man, like his speaking times, especially because he was so in it for his speeches, his stories, they were so long and drawn out, but you kind of like get used to it, and then you also kind of relate it to the time and the character that he actually is.
And now that old Faye taking the food out your children's mouths. That old rascal?
It makes sense by the end of it, and you're just like, okay, genius, makes sense. The demons, the character development between the demons and the people, how each demon kind of relates to each character. The youngest daughter, Grace, like a teacher who is always, because she's always told to mind her teachers, and so someone who she should be forced to listen to, but is captivated and knows it's wrong. It's kind of this weird scenario. The tap dance man, who's just this exaggerated version of the father. The Abraham, who is essentially the leader of this gang of demons, that, and the reason why it's all, and the center of why all of this craziness is happening, being the mother's demon, who is the center of the family, and him being the strongest is so telling, because she's also the strongest member of the family. She's also the core of the family that keeps them centered.
One of them motherfuckers out there gets squirrely. They ain't getting a warning. I suppose until they tire themselves out. Or until your mama beats their asses. Now come here. Why are you my ruby?
Because I sparkle.
That's right. And why are you my Gracie?
Because when Daddy first saw me, he said, amen.
You sure did.
And then obviously the little girl, Ruby, her demon, the fact that you don't even know her demon is actually a demon until halfway through, it's just so telling, especially of the fears that is of self-hate.
You don't?
She had a gun outside. Everybody saw her. It was embarrassing.
What do you want?
I don't want to be like them anymore. I don't want to be ugly.
Never be like Mama.
We'll never be like Mama. Stop!
I also do really appreciate how you can watch it and be like, this is so creepy and like wild and all this other stuff, like whoa, and then you could watch it arguably as a Black person and like see all of these things that you may have experienced, or you may have seen someone experience, the self-hate, the especially if you're a woman, the portrayal of being a mad Black woman.
Go back to where you came from!
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, the heaven and the earth. And God said, and God said, light. And God said,
It's bullshit.
Look at me. Look at me. Don't even give them the satisfaction.
Fuck them.
Okay. So look. We got 3 options. 1, I walk back in the house, I get my 45, I kill all these honkies. I go to jail. The girls get taken from you. Look, I gotta be honest. I'm not in love with option 1. 2, I stay home with you.
First week on the job, you get fired, and what was option 1 again?
Eyes on me.
The duality of having to be the sidekick to the white man's character, or to have to be the Uncle Tom, or to have to feel like you have to subdue yourself and do all these things to fit into the box that the white man has provided. All of these different things, all of these different nuances that have been throughout, that have weaved throughout the story, is so spot on. It takes very real fears and very real things of the Black experience and turns them into horrific, distorted versions that play on those fears of this Black family specifically. To see yourself and not be able to control yourself is a huge fear of me personally, and I think of many Black people, of just like having to answer that question constantly and always having to be on your toes. And then the fact that the white people in the neighborhood, god awful as they were,
Dumbass bitch.
were not the ultimate demons. Yes, I mean, they were obviously demons. They were hellscape of people. But the actual demons were coming from inside the house themselves, from the self-hate, from the insecurities that we all have. Just get painted an overall bigger and better message that I really truly loved. I think that I think this was such a beautiful, masterful piece. I think that obviously there are things that I would definitely change. I think that the storyline for episode 9, which was like Abraham or whatever his name is, the top hat guy who looked like Abraham Lincoln, was the mother's Lucky's demon. I think that his story should have been half an episode. I think they could have condensed it and really made it more powerful if it was within an episode rather than a whole episode by itself, because it kind of took me out. I think that Gracie, her story, obviously she was the most in tune with her demon. Seeing Ruby with her demon, you knew it was an example of self-hate. It was very clear, it was very cut, it was very concise. It was to the point, it was poignant. For Lucky, you knew her demon had to do with self-control, with loss, with all this grieving, with being that mad Black woman that people see you as, and turning into that sort of pseudo creature. With the father, you knew his vision was the Uncle Tom. That's why you had this caricature of a Black person being his demon. With Gracie, it took a lot more thinking, which I don't hate, but I do think that if you're going to make the others just so poignant and so in your face, it would be helpful if Gracie's was as well. And maybe I'm just missing it. But other than those things, those small, if I had to nitpick, those are the things I would nitpick about. But I think that it was just genuinely a great story. I watched it all in one day. I just sat and watched it all in one day. It was amazing. I'm going to watch the bonus features and stuff now. But I highly recommend it. If I had to give it a drink, I would give it a Dark and Stormy, okay? Because that is a strong, beautiful Black drink. And I feel like this was a strong piece. I feel like come next year, during the Emmys, this is a strong contender, especially for Best lead actress, because Lucky did the damn thing. I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure I recognized the actress from somewhere, but she was amazing. There were so many scenes that were so believable, poignant, perfected, just so strong. When she slapped that woman, I was like, this is the Lucky I want.
This is not how civilized people live. Tell me about it, Mrs. Wendell. Niggers. Stay right here, okay? Some of us are just about fed up.
That's right, Mama. We beat their asses.
She showed the strength and the backbone, but still the vulnerability of her character, and I really appreciated it. Everyone, and that's another thing, that's the last thing I'll say, all of the acting, from the most minuted roles of that creepy milkman who I suspected the whole time, he was amazing, to the lead roles. Everyone was amazing. Even that little quiet boy in the olden time episode 9, was a great actor. I really appreciated all of the acting skills, dialogue, and all of it.
Right now. Be over before they make it off their lawns.
Is that a threat?
I'm sure I don't know what you mean.
Bets? Everything okay?
Just fine, sweetie. Just fine.
Why would you live somewhere you're not wanted? Seriously.
Sunshine, jasmine in the air. It's growing on me.
And a family to consider.
See there? You found the answer all by yourself.
I wouldn't want my children growing up.
Good thing you don't have any.
Can't sleep.
It's midnight, and there are firecrackers outside that window. So no.
Don't you ever in your life let them know you thinking. You like to get us killed.
Uh-oh, girls. Look over there. It's ugly old Bela Lugosi picking rubbish out of that trash can.
Lugosi.
Your daddy watches too many pictures.
Detective Betty. Beat us to it.
Of course. One woman welcome wagon.
What'd you find out?
Well, for starters, purple's not her color.
Ruby Lee. Ruby Lee. Ruby Lee.
highly recommend it. Thank you guys for watching. I'm yummy.com. Don't worry, I will be back, so stay tuned.